I worked in medical device manufacturing, but we manufactured cell culture media that we sold to pharmaceutical companies and biologics companies. So what would happen was once or twice a month, I had a customer auditor coming in, and quite often they would be challenging me on validation approaches. And I had to describe what medical device requires versus what pharmaceuticals requires. But over that 20 years of being questioned once or twice a month over and over again, you know, I got to see that there is actually significant overlap between the two, and that validation really doesn't need to be thought of in as strict an industry definition as the product itself. And the way I kind of describe that is, you have a manufacturing process. It, has some sort of reactor or vessel. You get uniformity, and then you treat it after uniformity. You're filtering it, or you're doing a sterilization step, or doing something to, change it in between. And then ultimately it's going to get to some equipment that's putting it in its final configuration. It's putting it in a bottle, putting it in a capsule, putting it, in a kit. And then that gets labeled with important information like expiration date. Those are the type of thing your software is going to keep track of. And then it goes for final packaging. So that whole process I just described, if that final product is going to get ingested by a human, they're going to call it a drug. If that final chemical compound is going to go into a test kit, they're going to call it a medical device. But when it comes to validation, all those steps in between, it doesn't matter if someone's going to eat it or if it's going to be used to test their sample. That validation still needs to prove uniformity, still needs to prove your capability, still needs to prove your software. That thinking is not what I've seen as I've talked to people about validation. I oftentimes get asked which industry, and that's where I kind of go on my spiel of it doesn't matter. You still are a manufacturing process.